Hey, what's going on, guys? Blue here, coming at you with a bag video. Somebody in one of the streams I was in, Samo Man, actually gave me a good idea, and that's putting together a series of videos for tailored bags depending on what type of player you are. So this will be the first video, as it's the bag that I use, with one exception, which is the driver, and we'll get into that. But I play 99% of the time to hit a perfect tempo, and I'm a type of player who doesn't have an issue with his swing plane. So I've set up the bag in a way where I'm going to get the best results possible while trying to play a perfect tempo, as well as maintaining what I consider to be good gaps between the clubs for my game. So let's get right into it. It's not going to be a long series of videos. I think the next video I'll make, seeing as playing for the fast is so popular, I will make a bag tailored towards the fast players. And if you guys have any suggestions, or you're the type of player that plays X way, and you'd like to see a bag fit and tailored to your specific needs, feel free to leave a comment down in chat, or tweet at me at GamerCalledBlue, and I'll be more than willing to sit down and do a quick video for you guys. So let's get right into it. We'll start with the driver. The driver is the only caveat here. I don't actually use this driver, but if you are going to be playing for the perfect drive, and that's my 1%. I don't play for a perfect drive all the time. I actually think there's some benefit to fasting the drive, and that's just, being in the fairway almost 100% of the time is kind of like the perfect thing for this game. So if you're going to play for the perfect, I've been toying around with this. I haven't made the move yet, but the TGC Zero Sum 950 is the driver you would want to use to hit perfects all the time. It is a 293-yard carry driver, so it is only 2 yards shorter than the Bridgestone that everybody uses, but it increases your shot shaping, and it increases your forgiveness as well as your distance control slightly. So you have a little bit more control at the expense of a 2-yard deficit compared to the Bridgestone that everybody uses. And honestly, I've been testing it out. The 2-yard really doesn't make that huge of a difference. And if you can hit a perfect driver, you will gain more distance than hitting this Bridgestone fast anyway. So that's one experiment that I'm doing right now, but this would be my choice of driver to hit the perfect drive. Moving right on into the 3-wood, I've chosen the Mizzuno ST200. Now, this is a downloadable content 3-wood. A lot of people will just use, again, the Bridgestone, and they'll normally fast their 3-wood. They won't be going for the perfects, but the Mizzuno offers slightly more shot shaping, slightly more forgiveness. It's the same thing as the TGC Sum compared to Bridgestone driver. This one gives you more shot shaping, more forgiveness, more distance control over the Bridgestone that everybody tends to use. The Sim Max is another one that you can potentially use if you don't have the downloadable content, and if you've unlocked the gold TaylorMade Sim Max. This one's it's a lot less distance, but a lot more forgiving towards the shot. So if you want to play the perfect 3-wood, that's one that I would recommend. It has the less distance penalty versus the regular Sim Max. The regular Sim Max won't have the distance that I really think you need for your 3-wood. Distance in a driver and a 3-wood is very important. From there, I choose to hit a hybrid. I'm using the Callaway Maverick hybrid. It's the hybrid that goes 216 yards. Most people right now, I think, play a 3-iron. And the reason I don't play a 3-iron, I take a bit of a penalty coming out of the rough. The 3-iron is way better to play out of the rough. However, the hybrid is way better to play out of the sand. So there's a give and there's a take. But out of the fairway, your 3-wood, if you compare it to the 3-iron that everybody uses, The hybrid, the 3 hybrid, gives you slightly more distance, way better shot shaping, way better forgiveness, and a little bit less distance control, but you can partial them pretty easily. But you'll be hitting that 216-yard perfect shot way more consistently, and that's great for those long par threes into the wind that we tend to see a lot on the TGC tours. So that's my vote, is the Mizzuno. If you don't have the Mizzuno unlocked, again, you can go towards the gold TaylorMade Sim Max. It offers slightly more forgiveness, slightly more shot shaping at the expense of a little bit of distance. You won't have that 216 yards. I believe it's 208, so you lose 8 yards on the distance. I prefer to get, seeing as I have the Mizzuno unlocked, I prefer to have it. Did I say I was going to matter? I prefer to have it. I prefer to have the distance, seeing as I have it unlocked for you. We'll pretend that I didn't stutter there. Then I move on, and here I sacrifice a little bit of forgiveness here to keep my gaps even. I like to have almost a 10-yard gap between every single one of my clubs, from my 9-iron to my 4-iron. These are your most used distances in the game. So you'll see these shots a lot, and to be able to just club up one, club down one, rather than having to do some kind of funky shot shaping, lofting, back spinning, you're in my opinion way better off, and way easier to hit a perfect when you don't have to shot shape. So I start with the 4-iron, which has a 14-yard gap from my 5. It just helps. The reason why I sacrificed it here is because it just helps to mend the gap between the 5 and then the 216 hybrid. You can de-loft this and hit like 198. You can loft your hybrid and hit like 205, 204. So there's really no gaps there with the loft and the de-loft. Obviously, when you do that, it's harder to hit the perfects. But that's the club I chose in order to do that. And then you'll see, like, basically this one here has a lot more forgiveness over the other ones, while offering that little bit of extra distance to the club. So that's the TaylorMade Sim, the gold one. Again, that has to be unlocked. And then for my 5-iron, I chose to go to the Mizzuno just to help mend the gap of the 5-iron. The Bridgestone one has a little bit more forgiveness, but its distance gets hurt a little bit. So I chose to just take a little bit of hit on forgiveness, but not much, to be able to keep my gap between my 4-iron and my 6-iron a little bit better than having like a 15, 16, 18-yard gap to my 4-iron. I chose to have a 14-yard up and a 13-yard back. And then I go about 8 to 10 yards throughout the rest of my clubs, and I chose to just do the Bridgestone, the gray Bridgestone Tour B JGR HF2s. They are the most forgiving club in the game. You do not need distance on these clubs. There's no reason for it, especially if you're trying to hit the perfect. These are the most forgiving clubs that you can have in your bag, and that's the ones that I choose. And then your wedges really don't matter. I don't hit splash shots, so I don't worry about the splash all that much. I hit a lot of partial pitches, so I've set up my my bag to have good pitch distances when it comes to this club. So the Equalizers, Ben Hogan Equalizers is the ones that I use. Again, these don't really matter that much. I chose them in order to keep my gaps between my 9-iron and my pitching wedge, within that 8 to 10 range. This one's 9, so that's why I chose them. It really doesn't matter. All these have a really good amount of forgiveness. It's pretty easy to hit a perfect wedge. The only ones I wouldn't go towards, I would say, is like these purple, any of these purple ones. But the gold ones do really, really good, and most of the gray ones do good as well. You can use the Bridgestone one, but again, the Bridgestone, if you go towards the 44, is a 117 yard club. and these are 124. So your distance, you're losing another 7 yards in between. So you'll have a bit of a greater gap if you go towards the Bridgestone with more forgiveness between your pitching wedge and your 9-iron. And of course, the putter does not matter. You can use whatever you want. I have the downloadable contents, so I use the Mizzuno putter. Also, the same putter that I have IRL. So I chose to just use this one. So that's my bag. That's the golf bag that I would recommend if you are a player that wants to shoot for the perfects. And of course, once you get your tempo down and you feel like you have a perfect tempo, go ahead and experiment. You know, get rid of these lower irons. Maybe make everything a little bit longer. Give yourself some longer wedges. Give yourself, you know, better attacking irons when it comes to shaping and stuff like that. If you've really timed your tempo perfectly and you don't need the extra forgiveness anymore, you know, it's for everybody. But if you're just starting out and you want to hit those perfects, this is the bag I recommend. I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Blue out.